Mesdames et messieurs,
The greatest festival of our contemporary society, the Olympic Games, is about to begin.
This is gonna be close.
Oh! They're all completely gassed! They've given it everything on their global bucket! Oh, yeah! Go! Oh!
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. But that is an Olympic championship.
Ready?
Hello and welcome to another episode of Keep the Flame Alive, the podcast for fans of the Olympics and Paralympics. If you love the games, we are the show for you. I am your host, Jill Jarris, joined as always by my lovely co-host, Allison Brown. Allison, hello, how are you?
I am in full-blown panic mode.
Oh, yes.
And I am worried about the stupidest things. Yesterday, I had a little panic about what socks I am bringing to Milan.
That's not a bad thing to panic about.
But I realized I didn't have the right. I have one pair of really good socks. They were my favorite socks in Beijing, and I've never been able to find another pair. So now I realized that, and I've been furiously searching, trying to find these socks.
I hear you. I hear you.
Ugh.
The shopping has started. Go to the store, get hand warmers, realize that they also have toe warmers.
Yes.
Which my feet would be very excited to have. So pile those in. I bought 2 pairs of gloves.
Excellent.
And who knows what else is getting thrown into my cart. Somebody already asked me, are you done? Are you all packed? I'm like, I have barely started the pile.
Agreed. And we had a lovely note from 2 of our listeners asking for a video of what we're packing. To which I say, I don't know if you really want to see that video. But it gave me an idea. That might be in our Substack newsletter.
Yes.
Towards the end of the month.
Be on the lookout for that. If you aren't on our Substack newsletter, that's flamealivepod.substack.com. It is free to sign up, so don't worry about that. Just sign up for the newsletter, and we will have special content there during the games. We have special content today. Today we are talking cross-country skiing as well as Nordic skiing, and Nordic includes both cross-country and biathlon. As of January 21st, all the athletes we talked with are still vying to qualify for Milano Cortina 2026. So hopefully those teams will be named soon, and the following TKFLASTANIs will make the list. First up, we are talking with Gus Schumacher, who is an Olympian from Anchorage, Alaska, who competed at Beijing 2022 in cross-country. Since then, he's been making a name for himself in the cross-country world by being the first American male to win a World Cup in over 43 years. And this year, he placed 7th overall in the Tour de Ski, which is a major multi-day ski race on the cross-country circuit. That's the highest finish ever by an American male. Take a listen to our conversation with Gus. How cold was it in Beijing for you? Because, we saw the stories. I was over a lot on the biathlon side, and it was really cold. But we got the stories about men having problems.
Yeah, the men were definitely, whether or not they were actually having problems, they got on New York Times, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I felt like maybe it was a bit of a game.
Okay.
Because that's sort of always a factor in our sport. Mm-hmm. You got clothes for it, so...
But the moleskin came out.
Sure, yeah. The polar jocks, the whole deal. Yeah, it was cold. It was one of the coldest racing events I've ever been at. And I've raced in Fairbanks, too, where they cancel races because it's cold, and they put the thermometer in a pie tin so it warms up a little bit. Maybe not, actually, but they definitely measure the warmest part of the course, and it, dips down low. But it wasn't windy. Beijing was super windy.
Yeah, that was, and it was a nasty wind.
And the conditions, the snow conditions were interesting.
Yeah, because it was dry. It was super cold, but it doesn't ever snow much there. And so, it was man-made snow, and it was, the hardest man-made snow I've ever skied on. Super slow, too. That, fine-grain, wind-blown snow was slow and hard and cold.
And painful.
Yeah, in a way, yeah, I guess so.
we didn't have the protective gear, so when that wind kicked up...
Yeah, it was rough time.
No, it was not always fun to take off the warm-ups.
Yeah. Talk to us about skiathlon, the event, and how it works.
The skiathlon is a 20K race, so it's 12, 13 miles, something like that. And it starts with classic skiing always for half of it, 10K. And halfway through, we come into the pits, the exchange zone, and switch to skating. We wear the same boots the whole time. They're like, for me, it's actually just classic boots with a ankle cuff. So it looks like a skate boot, but the sole is softer. Skate boots have a stiffer sole. They're generally stiffer because you're pushing laterally. And classic boots are softer because your foot gets in such flexion that you need that boot to flex a little bit. You push off the ball of your foot, basically.
So then do you have to make any adjustments for the freestyle skiing in terms of compared to a freestyle only race?
Yeah, a little bit. The boots don't really matter that much to me. They're a little soft, but you get used to it pretty quickly. It's mostly just that first 30 seconds to 2 minutes where the poles feel too long and it's all a little slippery. And then you just start skiing because that's, so you've done it a million times.
You can only change the skis. You can't change the poles?
You do change the poles.
You do
no,
change
so
the
the poles get longer.
Because
The poles get longer, so all of a sudden your hands come higher. It's a bit of a different position, the skiing, but yeah. So you change your skis and poles.
How long is your pit?
The distance?
No. How long does it take? Ideally.
I don't actually know. 10, 15 seconds.
Okay.
You can do a lot more damage in there than you can move up. People will kick their skis around.
Okay, because it's like triathlon has those transitions. So this is a transition. You can.
Yeah,
that's
and the
where you
race
can
is
lose
long
it.
enough.
Yeah.
You don't want to lose a pack. Mm-hmm. But if you need to, you can sprint to catch up. But people have definitely not been able to get in their bindings because it's frozen for whatever reason, or they'll get in there and kick their ski and it goes flying to the other side of the course. Mostly, you just need to calm down and slow as fast.
Are there rules in the transition like there are in triathlon where you have to be in a certain position and if your ski does go out, you get penalized for that?
I don't think you get penalized for it. Yeah. I mean, you try to keep your stuff in. And when you leave, you might be able to get penalized if you throw your stuff everywhere. But, you're not supposed to if you threw your poles into your competitor's box.
Oh, yeah.
I'd imagine you'd get a penalty, but I've never seen it happen.
That would just be rude.
Yeah, people might do it on accident, but if you done it on purpose, that would be rude. Yeah.
Talk about the different prep for mid-distance versus long distance in terms either mentally and physically.
Mid-distance, so 10, 20K, I assume you mean?
Well, yes.
Okay, which 20K is still fairly long. 10K takes us about 20 to 25 minutes, depending on conditions. 20K, roughly double that. It's usually 45. And then the 50K is about 2 hours usually. And the 10K, 20K are pretty easy to go about. We do them a lot. And physically, you warm up a little bit more because they're shorter. You'll do some, especially I guess it depends on the start, but interval starts, I don't do that much intensity, but I like to feel how fast I want to go, get a sense, put myself in that mindset. Muscles need to be warm, but that's pretty easy. And at 50K, I almost don't warm up. It's long enough. It doesn't start that hard. You shouldn't be starting that hard if you want to do well. So I kind of use the beginning of the race to warm up. And I'll do a couple speeds or something, but they're often towards the end of the season too. Your body's ready to race. I'll test skis. Usually that's an hour before, and then I'll just hang out until 20, 30 minutes before a ski round for 15, 20 minutes and change clothes.
What do you think about over 50K?
Over 50K?
Well, I'm saying
during a 50K.
During a 50K.
Yeah. A lot of things, I guess. Yeah. I think about what's going on in the race. I think about how my body feels. I'll think about what the fans are doing. A lot of times our 50Ks at Holmenkollen in Norway. It's one of their biggest ski events every year, and so it's kind of fun to see who's there, who they're cheering for. Think about as the race starts to go on, you think about who might be doing something when, because sometimes there's a big attack early. It's good to be ready for that because it can be easy to just relax and get into a rhythm where you're not necessarily ready for it to get a lot harder rapidly.
With the 50K, because that's the one where you have the most countries participating, what is it like getting into traffic as you do laps? Because you're dealing with people who are a lot slower sometimes.
Lapping.
Yeah.
They tend to pull people that are lapped.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I assume they do that at the Olympics too, I think. Because you don't want someone that's getting lapped to affect the end of a race, especially. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, there's not much I don't think about that very much. when I was beginning, I was like, I make sure we don't get lapped, you know. Those laps are 8K, so that ended up not really being too much of an issue.
Is there trash talking?
Not really. No, it's a pretty friendly field. I'm sure people trash talk behind backs and everything, but while we're out there, people yell once in a while, mostly just to let someone know they're there. Some people get in a tizzy about things, but it's a long enough race that nothing matters that much early on. Like, you can go to the back of the field, you can fall, and like, it's not that big of a deal. You've got time.
Have you been on the course in Cortina?
I have, yeah.
What do you think?
It's going to be new a little bit, actually. They're changing it up. They've changed it up a few times in the last couple of years, but I've raced on 2 iterations of it, and it's a hard course. It's really up and down. Like, there's not a lot of super sustained climbs, but the downhills are pretty technical, which I think is actually one of the things that makes it hardest is, you know, if you've got downhills where you're just sitting in a tuck and just gliding out, which you do through the stadium there, which is nice, that makes it a lot easier. But 2 of the corners, every time you come through, you're gonna have to think about it and make sure you like set up well, and they're pretty easy to slip out on because they'll get icy from people sliding and stuff.
How did it change from the first time to the second? Did they make it more challenging, or were they like, oh, we got to fix this corner or something?
Yeah, they made it a little less. It's a little wider. It's a little smoother, but I think every year we get a little bit faster too.
Oh,
so like the technology gets better. We had our waxing switched to fluoro-free a few years ago, so that slows it down marginally. But when I've raced there, it's often been quite icy because it's in the shady side of the valley and it freeze thaws a lot. So I think it'll be quite fast, would be my guess.
And just to finish up, does the mustache make you faster?
I don't think so. That's why I don't have it. Yeah, you think it does? I don't know. It makes me look older, which is partly why I had it. But
oh gosh,
like
thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you so much, Gus. You know, I did go and find the fleece thongs. What is it? I don't remember what he called them.
Fleece jocks.
Yes.
We did talk about this, I think, on the show after the Team USA Media Summit, that we had discovered a whole new shopping experience.
Whole new world. Next up is Julia Kern. She is an Olympian from my old stomping grounds, Waltham, Massachusetts. She competed at Beijing 2022 in cross country and also has 2 world championship medals as well as 6 World Cup podiums. After injuries disrupted her 2024 season, she has made a comeback, got a silver medal in the team sprint at the 2025 World Championships, and at the beginning of this year, 2026, she took 16th place in the Tour de Ski. Julia is also part of the Athletes Commission in the International Federation. So we talked with her a little bit about what she does in that role as well. Take a listen. Julia, we're going to get right into the weeds because we don't have time. How do you approach a sprint race?
Depends on the day, but what I love about sprinting is that it's super tactical, and that's a lot of what sprinting is about. So we have to do a qualifier. You have to make the top 30 to move on. So qualifier is all out no matter what. You never know what's going to happen. And then in the rounds, it's all about heat selection. So we get to pick what heat we're in depending on how we qualify. And that's a little bit newer in the last few years. And so there's this huge tactical element of who you pick a heat with.
So if you're the best time, you get to, like, the best times go, like you're picking your team, kind of.
You're picking against, the people you're going to race against.
Yeah, it's like schoolyard pick.
Do the people with the best time get to pick first or last?
They pick, so it goes from 11th reverse to 1, because you don't want to pick first because then you have really no choice. You're just picking blindly. And so if you qualify 11th, you're like, oh, I'm just guessing at a blank slate. But then when you qualify first, you see the top 10 people in front of you, and so you can kind of pick. So there's a lot of like strategy involved in that, which is
oh my gosh.
As you say, a sprint being so tactical, my first thought was, really, it seems like you should just go as fast as you can, as quickly as you can, and get there. But that makes a lot more sense that now there's this whole element.
So they realized that people who were in the earlier quarterfinals and early semifinals were much more likely to win and podium because you have more recovery time. Because if you're in quarterfinal 1 or 5, that's a 25-minute spread. And that's a lot of time to recover for the next round. And so do you pick a strategy where you pick an easier heat or you have less recovery? Or do you pick maybe an earlier heat so you have more recovery, but it's going to be a lot harder to move on? So there's a lot of complexity, and there's lucky losers. So top 2 from each heat move on, and then the 2 next fastest times from all of the heats. So maybe you pick what you think will be a fast heat and just try to go for top 4.
Wow. Okay, so then do you look at like track and fields and go, oh, you're just coasting through that quarterfinal or semifinal?
Sometimes you can tell, yeah, and that's also in our sport the case.
You do get some coasters still?
You get some coasters. I mean, some people are so good or they know they have such a strong finish. And I think that's what's fun about it. It can be really frustrating too if you don't have a choice or you regret your decision. But yeah, you pick where you think your path of least resistance is, or higher resistance but more reward in the finals.
Do you get help in picking, or is it like an isolation booth and you have to do it on your own?
We can have one coach in the zone usually. So we have one coach. We also talk amongst our team sometimes too, because, we all want to succeed. Sometimes Jesse and I often end up going in the same heat because we agreed, let's just push the pace and go fast. But it kind of depends on people's strategies. And yeah, so it's such a tactical thing. And it's like you press essentially this big, easy button. And it's this whole heat selection thing. And every year I have a different strategy, even different times of year. And it's a little bit of a guessing game too. Ultimately, if you're skiing really well, you hopefully will move on. But that's the thing with sprint racing. You never know who's going to boot you out.
Now, how, with the conditions between the first one and the fifth one, I assume the conditions get worse as you go along.
Depends on the snow. So if it's warming, then yeah, you think about maybe it's going to get snow, or is it dumping snow? Is the track going to get slower and slower? Or did it snow and it stopped and now it's starting to glaze and actually the later heats are getting faster? And so there's so many things to think about. And you can't think about all the things, but it's become a big part of sprinting. And then there's also people who do the same exact thing every race, and so they're very predictable. Or you have the troublemakers. You're like, I know you create a lot of chaos and you break poles and you collide with people, you cut people off, I'm going to avoid you. So there's so much about going into knowing the field that's kind of fascinating. I think a lot of people don't realize when they watch cross-country sprints.
Oh my gosh, I have so many questions. What if the weather is changing, what is the opportunity to fix wax?
Now that we have fluoro testing, there's a lot less opportunity.
Oh, because that's right, because they took away
so that adds another layer. You have to pick one ski before the rounds and stick with it, whereas we used to be able to swap skis out if the conditions are changing. And then when we do classic skiing, you have grip wax too. And when it's around 32 Fahrenheit, right around freezing, and if it's like snowing, that's the hardest to wax in. So sometimes they allow 2 pairs of skis if it's borderline, because it could be meaning you have stilts on your skis and you're face planting if you get the wrong wax. It can be that lethal. So it's added a lot of extra challenges with the skis. Or do you wax them for being better in the later rounds and just good enough for the early rounds?
What does it do to your legs and probably arms too when you realize, oh, we didn't get quite the right wax, or I'd like it a little adjusted?
It can be frustrating, and also it's both the ownership on the wax technician and the athlete. Like, we test our skis, we communicate and have to work with them. But ultimately, once you're in the race, it's what you're committed with. It's just like on some days you start a race and you feel tired, but that's what you're working with. And so you got to figure out creatively, okay, how do I make this happen? So if maybe your skis are slick, but they're really fast, okay, you just have to hang out on the uphill and then draft them and shoot by them on the downhill. So you might have to just adapt your strategy in the moment.
It's like the skis are an extra team member, really, in a way.
Most definitely. I think people don't realize that with cross-country skiing is that our skis are so much of our sport, and I think most people don't grasp it's a whole chemistry, like a whole science. We have a whole wax truck that expands and follows us on the circuit, and a whole wax team just for our skis.
How many pairs of skis do you have when you're traveling?
Anywhere from 40 to 60 pairs.
How do they get transported? I mean, they have to get to the truck overseas somehow.
Yeah, so it's an ongoing fleet. So you'll have like a quiver of skis, and every year, the brands bring their newest, best items, and it's essentially like a trading system. So they bring like a handful of skis at the beginning of the season, and then you give back some of the skis that aren't racing as well, and they go to kids or are resold or whatever. So it's a constant evolving trading system of skis in, skis out, and our technicians manage that. And so it's not like 40 pairs are just arriving. Like we always have a set fleet and ebbs and flows with the skis coming in and out of the truck. And there's this huge rack with shelves, and every athlete like shares a shelf, and it's all your skis lined up.
Do you have favorites where you're like, these are my lucky skis?
Sometimes I have skis that like just consistently perform well. Like last year at World Championships, Atomic came out with a new base material, and I had a pair of skis, and the new base material was just better than anything else. And it was slushy for the whole last month of the season. And so it was just outbeating anything I had. And so I ended up racing on it every race, but we test every single race and lead up race. So you can't have favorites, because then you're actually doing yourself a disservice, because that's why we have so many skis. But yeah, it's easy to get biased, and I try to like not look at the numbers and labels, and also the numbers after a while just mix together, and you stop noticing. But it's definitely also a mental challenge when you're testing skis. You might expect one ski to be better, and you're like, this doesn't make sense, but it feels better.
Do you ever mix pairs?
No, not intentionally. Yeah, no, we don't usually mix pairs. But when the skis are produced, sometimes I think in some brands they do like, it's just a bunch of single skis and they find the best closest match and pair them together.
I want to ask you about the FIS athlete rep and what you're doing in that role.
Yeah, so I'm the cross-country FIS athlete rep. There's a male and a female for each sport in FIS, or umbrella sport like free ski, and we all make up an athlete commission. And in that commission, we discuss things, we bring athlete feedback, and then our chairs vote at the council level, which is the voting level of FIS.
How have you found that? Because I know you haven't been doing this a long time, but how have you found that role?
It's motivating, humbling, and also can be really frustrating. I think there's change in the cross-country level, and I feel like our relationship with the athletes and the FIS cross-country team has been so awesome. Like we have the most engagement we've ever had with the cross-country athletes. They reach out to us, they give us feedback, they answer our polls. We have a great communication channel, and now the cross-country team, like they really care. When we say the athletes want this, they listen and they take that into account. And so I think that's been really rewarding to feel like we work together as a team and we're making changes in our sport. On the FIS level, there's so many sports, there's so much to consider. And so that makes it a lot harder to have change, because what might be best for cross country might not be best for alpine. And there's just a lot more politics involved at the FIS level. But I think it's really important to have athletes who are outspoken, because they've fought so hard to get votes to begin with. And I still think the athlete representation and voice should be stronger than it is.
Were you helpful in getting the women's 50K in?
I came in when that was all happening.
Oh, okay.
So like kind of in that turning point, we've like surveyed to see, like people keep pushing back on it, but we've surveyed to confirm like this is a good thing for our sport. And then last year I was involved with climate activists who wanted to protest the race and block the race, which they've successfully done in the past, and actually like had successful negotiations with them during the World Championships to then come together and say, we're on the same side. We all want to have clean air and clean water, but blocking the race isn't the way to do it. And so then instead we made this letter, and they ended up cheering on all the athletes who signed the letter. And I thought that was like a really special moment of saying, hey, we're actually on the same team. We want to support this message, but just not in this way. And we were the ones who made it happen, that they didn't protest.
That is very cool.
Okay.
Julia, thank you so much, because we got the thing. But we really appreciate it.
Thank
Thank you so much, Julia. Before we move over to the Para-Nordic side, we've got results from our fundraiser.
Yes. So in that last push, we got up to 70% of our fundraising goal, which is really great. We're so excited about that. Thank you so much to everyone who participated in that. We're not going to close it officially. We're going to leave that fundraising page up. So if you didn't get to it, fantastic. Please, we will take your money. We just cannot guarantee all the thank you gifts. But we're going to try. If you give, we're going to try and make those thank you gifts that happen as well.
Yes, thank you so much. You can find that form at flamealivepod.com. There's going to be a pop-up. There's also a little banner at the top where you can get to our fundraising page. Again, thank you everybody who's donated so far. We are so thrilled that this trip, which is expensive, especially given the fact that we'd really like to try to be able to get over to the Cortina side, where we'll be based in Milano for the Olympics. We'd love to get to the Cortina side and be able to cover up some of those sports and give you the atmosphere of what it's like in the Dolomites. This helps us do that, but if we could get that final push to get the 100% goal, that would be awesome. flamealivepod.com. Next up, we are talking with Oksana Masters. She is a 7-time Paralympian with 3 Winter Paralympics under her belt. In winter, she competes in para Nordic. We read her book, The Hard Parts, for our book club a couple of years ago. So to learn more about Oksana's early life, check out that episode. We will link to that in the show notes. She is currently ranked 3rd in para cross-country ski and 2nd in para biathlon. Take a listen. Have you been to the ski tunnel this year?
I have been to a ski tunnel this year because I just got back from about 2.5 weeks ago in the one in Oberhof, Germany.
I almost said Oberhof.
Yeah. I was supposed to be in the Torsby one in Sweden, but I missed that one.
That was the one I was
So
trying
you're both
to remember.
right. Yes.
I was like, it's in
They're both on the schedule. Yeah.
What does that do to help prepare you? That before pre-knowledge of tunnel or tunnel experience versus post?
Before going to the snow tunnel, when training, it's so important for especially sit skiers. We roller ski in the summer, but we can't get on edge and maneuver on snow and turn and downhills. And that's something that's really, I think, would say more of a challenge from a winter side being an athlete to a summer side athlete. There's way more crossover in training specific for summer sports. You can't replicate snow. You need that snow, and it only comes half a year, depending, or you could travel around the world. And so we go to underground snow tunnel camps. And that is when our team started going to that. Oberhof was actually my first one in the snow tunnel camp. Realized how valuable and important it is for sit skiers specifically to be in the tunnel in the summer as well. And for me, it's even more so because I have to take my hands to ski. Mm-hmm. And so the way I ski and do my stroke, I can't replicate it on the roller skis.
Okay.
And it's so important for me to have that memory and that kind of waking up those muscles.
Now, talking about the motion, how is the switch physically between cycling and sit skiing?
Awful. This being fully transparent, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It is awful. It is the most humbling experience in the world because going from my best season in skiing, I'm starting over, and because skiing is all pulling motions for me, cycling as a hand cyclist, yes, I'm using my hands, but it's pushing. And so the way I propel myself and create power is through my shoulders and my arms mainly. And in skiing, it's a lot of lats, a lot of back, a lot of tricep. And it's rebuilding my body. And there's about 2 months of, oh my gosh, how did I, because my memory is where you ended that season. It's not, I forget how hard it was, that transition. And I don't know if it's like true that goldfish have like a 2-second memory, but that's me every time I transition into a sport. But I think the physical side is hard, and I know I can get there and retrain your body, and it just reminds me more of how incredible a human body is. It's, I think, that part of that secret weapon that I've had where it's keeping me hungry. I'm not settled at just being the best skier. Next year, I'm going to be the best skier, and building off of that. There's always mentally of second-guessing myself, getting back up, and it's keeping me hungry.
In terms of your physicality, of which sport are you bulkier, or is it just shifting?
Cycling. I'm
really?
Definitely, yeah. What did you think?
I thought it was the opposite.
Yeah, no, girl. My traps that I get, and it's not cute in certain dresses because I'm all about the fashion. And, you know, of course, I'm picking all the sports from rowing to skiing to cycling. I don't know why I'm sticking to spandex, but it's not a good look on me. But cycling is the bigger, I tend to just the volume of training too is a lot higher, but it's the time trial specifically training for that. Just I get bulkier, and in skiing, I'm more, I guess I'm still strong, but it's more like an endurance kind of strong. It's not like where you see like an Olympic lifter, you look a little bit.
Right. It's the strong there where you go, oh, great, all the dresses I have to cover up.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's so hard because going dress shopping or going like for certain events, I'm transitioning from the skiing season to the cycling season, and the lats don't fit, and then I'm starting over again. So everyone has to worry about their winter and summer attire closet. I'm thinking about my lats to my shoulder thing. It's a real thing. It's real. Things that people don't.
Yeah, my winter, summer, my lats, my 4 closets.
Shoulders.
How much racing of cycling are you doing in that 2-year transition back, and vice versa? You know, when you're going 2 year, from Paris, have you cycle raced at all?
Well, so this has been actually a very challenging year for me after Paris. Paris was my last race I've done. Normally, I would have been at World Championships doing World Cups, but I had injuries and surgeries this summer, so I missed an entire skiing season last year and the whole entire summer training because of some injuries that, if I had legs, I meant to be a klutz. I was closing a suitcase, and I dislocated my trigger finger, and needed a whole ligament repair because, when I injure myself, you got to go big. You can't just I sprained it. No, we got to make sure I'm back in that hospital room.
And get the right finger that you need most.
Yeah, and make sure, like for 2018, I busted and dislocated my elbow. That was my shooting elbow. And
you were held together with tape in Pyeongchang.
Yep. Tape and a brace where it locked me out, so I wasn't even able to use my hands in that way. And this time I decided, hey, let's make it extra challenging and let's mess up your trigger finger for biathlon, as if biathlon wasn't challenging enough. But normally I would be racing both the World Cup season, focusing on World Championships for cycling, and then vice versa for skiing as well, because skiing is one of those things I do all the World Cups because it's harder for me living in Champaign, Illinois. There's no snow, so I have to, and I would like to. I love the team too, to travel with them and race with them.
Okay,
excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Oksana. Next up, we are talking with Oksana's fiance.
Oh, yes. And I complimented him on the ring that he got, Oksana. It was quite lovely.
It was. Aaron Pike. Aaron Pike is a 7-time Paralympian. He competes in both para-track and para-cross-country and para-biathlon. He competes in both para-cross-country and para-biathlon. He is currently ranked 5th in the world in para-biathlon. Take a listen. We want to talk about sit skis and the construction of and transporting them and all that. So what is a sit ski made of?
Yeah, I would say a majority of the sit skis are typically made out of either aluminum or titanium. And then you're going to see a few of them out there, especially on our team more recently from like starting before the 2018 games, like in using carbon fiber, I'd say. But a lot of the field is on aluminum sleds, and the first one that all of us were on were made out of an aluminum frame, and they're essentially like a frame that gets you off approximately like 40 centimeters off the snow, I think is like the max height, and then they adapt some things for the bottom of the sit ski so that you can attach skis, because there's like the skis aren't made for sit skiing, they're made for stand skiing, so we're just always on the look for like skis that work better for us. And we always have to adapt, like how before we had to drill this like block system in the back of the skis. So we actually had to like physically, they use like 3D printed things, and we'd like screw in stuff into the existing skis, which probably wasn't great for the ski either, but it's just a way that we could attach them to our sit skis. And more recently, there's a way to attach them in the last couple of years where we don't have to drill anything in the skis, and we're actually able to move the sit ski forward and back over the top of the ski, like plus or minus 3, which is like, I don't know, say like a 1.5 inches or so either direction. That changes the way the skis feel, how they handle, how they turn when you're trying to maneuver. But yeah, the sit skis are made out of aluminum. There's usually like some sort of seat on the top. Classically, people would ski with their legs. Like if you had legs, they'd be out in front of you. More recently, kind of like when I started, I'd say like more people that are able to would tuck their legs up under them. So you're almost sitting. It'd be like kneeling on the floor and then just sitting down on your heels, like you're on your
More,
heels.
more
and you're
like
just
wheelchair racing.
like wheelchair racing, a lot like wheelchair racing. For me, it's like almost identical. Like my heels are just like right up to where my butt is, and you're just down. In the wheelchair racing, you spend more time like all the way down on your lap though, like really compact. And sit skiing, you're sitting up, just like the nature of the sport and like how you move with the poles. And the carbon fiber like came into play, and that made it to where it could be less straps and less like adjustability, more because carbon you can mold in any way you want, and so you can like have it made specifically for like I can't fit an Oksana sit ski like Kendall, or we both have legs, but neither one of us could like get in each other's sit ski because they're just made specifically for us. And the carbon fiber process was like one where the first time was like sitting in some beads, and then just you poured an epoxy in there, and you sit in this thing for like quite a while until it kind of firms up, and you have like a print of what your legs are and everything when you're sitting in this thing. So then they make carbon fiber thing out of that. And recently it was just like I went to a prosthetics place because I'm getting another sit ski, and basically did the same process of making like a socket for a prosthetic, to where they're like casting you basically. So it's like getting a paper mache project like done on yourself. And they pull that off, and they got a perfect splash of like your unique like features and stuff, and then convert that into a plastic that you sit in, and then they can see any hot spots. So like you sit in that, and you can see anywhere where there's like blanching of the skin or something, and then they can heat that up and like adjust that a little bit to where it fits better, or just somewhere that might be uncomfortable. But with the clear socket, you can see through and see how things are fitting. And then they take that clear one and they change and move that to then making a carbon fiber seat out of that. So it's a very custom seat, really long process, not super cheap, and it's tough because it's like no one's saying you're going to get it dead right. There's not like a perfect process to it. So I've like changed over the years, like from sitting how I think I want to sit, where there's like more femoral angle, meaning my knees are more down, my butt's higher off the ground. But with my abilities, I have a little bit lower core function and stuff. So I've started to continue to like bring it to where I'm almost flat, like you're sitting and your femur going across is almost just like parallel to the ground, or it's just like you're sitting flat like you would in a standard chair almost. And that just allows me to get over my poles a little more. But the carbon fiber one, it's not like I adjust that. You just have to get a whole new one, and that process it's expensive. It takes a lot of time, and then it's just, like there's no saying you're going to get it like perfect that next time either. So a lot of tinkering. I'm sorry,
Okay.
That's a long.
No,
Yes.
and there's like 15 questions.
Yes.
So first, how many do you have at any one given time?
Usually, like after I get this third one, I'll have 3, but it'll be more like 2. You should have 2. Like everyone that has like the carbon fiber sled, especially if you break that, it could be a problem. So your primary and your backup sit ski.
Are you bringing that on the airplane, or is it getting shipped for you?
We box them up. Some are in steel cases, some are in plastic, but we fly them under the plane. They're just boxed up and wrapped up and everything. Yeah.
Okay, you said it was expensive. How expensive are we talking?
Yeah. I wish I don't know all the total R&D thing, but now that carbon thing's made and they have a base and stuff, it's close to 10 grand somewhere in there for like a carbon fiber sit ski. And then the aluminum ones, it's really great. There's a guy making very good ones now that is also cross-country skiing. He used to be on the hockey team, now he's cross-country skiing, but he does a lot of stuff out of his garage, and he's making sit skis for like right around $1,000, and they're like aluminum with a plastic bucket and stuff, and then he can help tailor them and stuff. So a lot cheaper than trying to do a full carbon fiber, which is great for people that are just getting into the sport.
Amount of time it takes to make the carbon fiber?
Yeah. So this last time I probably made 4 different trips to the prosthetics place over the course of like a few weeks. You're just trying to fit in through there. They always have tight schedules. A lot of people with prosthetics going in there. So in total so far, like, cause I haven't even got it yet, it was like probably a month of going back and forth to that product like once a week. And then I had to go take a trip to Michigan, another like 4-hour drive, and spend a whole day there after he made the carbon fiber piece to try to sit it on the frame correctly. And then he's been working on that for a while. So it's, I don't know, probably like, for me, it's been like a month and a half or so far.
And how long does it take to get used to then a new sit ski?
Yeah, that's always like, it's always an adjustment. And the last one that I switched to, I would say, to get to the point where I wasn't really even thinking about it, it was probably like a solid 3 or 4 weeks just to get to the point where I felt comfortable going on downhills and was thinking about it less and more just thinking about what I was doing in training and less about like the thing I was sitting in, because you just want the sit ski to like kind of disappear under you. Like you shouldn't be thinking about it. It should just be you skiing, and that thing should just be a part of you.
I just got the image of Kendall Gretsch in Aaron's sit ski. We would lose Kendall Gretsch.
Yeah, she would definitely get swallowed up in that. Yeah.
What is the advantage of carbon fiber over the other materials?
It's light, and then its ability to wrap around organic shapes. Like it's wrapping around like our bodies organically, where you can't do that with metal tubing.
And what advantage?
And what that gives you is just like, it's very reactionary to like I'm looking a direction and it's like going with me type of thing. Or like I start pulling a direction a little bit, it's so locked in. There's no movement. It's like you're not moving inside of your sit ski. Your sit ski's just moving with you as one unit.
That's cool. That's got to be a cool feeling to be like one with the sit ski.
Oh yeah. It feels really good. It's almost like, yeah, just seeming to feel like if you were like being able to fly all of a sudden through the air, and like you just have wings and you can fly. This is just something you can fly across snow on.
When you've had to drill holes in skis, what does that do to the
integrity?
Yeah, thank you. The integrity of the ski.
Yeah, a lot of them, we broke a lot of tails that way, so it messed with just the strength of it, I think, because there was a lot of people that would break the tail end of the ski, and I think part due because we were adding screwing additional things into it, and then the skis, it's just a process, because for people standing, they usually have like a certain length, they're set for a certain weight, but we're always on them at both, like all the weights on the skis at the same time, like where when you're skiing, it's like all your weight transfers on one ski and then it transfers to the other ski, where we're like distributing our weight on two different skis the whole time. So I think that I tend to use like softer skis than I think my weight would be for like a standing ski, I guess. If that makes sense.
I'm curious about the adjustments for the biathlon rifle.
Yeah.
In terms of for your abilities and working with the sit ski, and then it's held. So how is that customized and worked with?
So like when you compare it to able-body biathlon, we don't carry them during the skiing part. So the weight isn't as much of a factor. Like I don't care if my rifle's heavy. If anything, it's probably more steady. And a lot of people have gone and made custom stocks. So they're just basically carving out exactly like their kind of fingerprints in the rifle, and then when their hands stop and everything, and just getting it set up to where exactly like they want it. And then there's a ton of adjustability like within the biathlon rifle of like how far the butt plate moves forward and back, the cheek peak moves up and down, the eye piece moves forward and backwards. And for that, it's like everyone, it's just like their own unique, like how they're most comfortable, like the length of their arms, like a lot goes into that.
So which is harder to travel with, the biathlon rifle or the sit ski?
Oh, the rifle. The rifle is a nightmare. The rifle is, even though we compete with, it's not even like a true, what you call a firearm, where there's like, where it's, a true bullet in there that's shooting. It's just pellets, like a BB gun, essentially. Just a $5,000 BB gun. Super precise. But yeah, traveling's a pain. That's the hardest thing to travel with. There's always like, you never know what's going to happen country to country, like paying extra fees, like them having to pull you out, like having to have locks on all over them, paperwork for the rifles. Like there's always something.
When you got into the sport, did you realize that was going to be one of your new hobbies, paperwork?
Yeah, no, ignorance was bliss when you get into the sport with that kind of stuff. Like it's one of those things where you just start to learn over time, I guess. They don't like to tell you all that stuff right when you're getting into the sport.
You chose some very expensive options in sports.
Yeah.
So what is your home like in terms of storing all of these chairs and sit skis? And you've got a lot.
Yeah, there's luckily like I have like a locker area and stuff too at the training center at U of I, and between my basement, I know there's at least a racing chair down there, a sit ski. The garage probably has at least a couple of Oksana's bikes and like one of her sit skis, and then the training center, I think I have maybe 4 different aluminum racing chairs and a carbon fiber chair that are there. So just like, yeah, there's stuff. If it was all in my garage, it would be a completely full garage. A 2-car garage would have 0 space if it was all in one place.
We've talked with Oksana about how her body changes from summer to winter in terms of training. Does your body change as well?
Yeah, just like small things like you don't use your forearms much in Nordic skiing, but in wheelchair racing, that's massive. And then the lats are like the biggest thing. Like in skiing, you'll feel your lats. I feel like I gain a little bit of like a pound or two of like mass when I'm skiing, because I think it's just there's just resistance all the time. In the nature of the sport, you're always a lot of climbing. Like most of the places we train are just on the side of a mountain, so nothing's flat, and it's just a ton of resistance all the time.
Excellent.
Okay,
We have to let you go.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aaron. Next up, we're talking with Sydney Peterson. At Sydney's Paralympic debut in 2022, she won a full set of medals in para cross-country skiing. Her success in Beijing came as big a surprise, more so to herself than anyone else. She is hoping to repeat her success at Milano Cortina. Take a listen.
You have the best thing that I love, which is a full set from Beijing, bronze, silver, and gold. How do you manage that when you've got that many races, that many things going in such a short period of time?
I don't know. I guess I kind of came into Beijing super last minute. At this time, 4 years ago, the Paralympics still weren't even on my radar. And so it wasn't until mid-November that I ended up starting the process of classification. And then I ended up racing at World Championships in Lillehammer in January of 2022. And from there, I got a bipartite invitation from the IPC to go and race at the Paralympics. So that was a separate invitation process. So I didn't qualify through the typical Team USA route. So I was still there as like a Team USA athlete and everything. But I didn't take a roster spot from Team USA. And that was because I was such a late addition. So going into it, I was just super excited to be there. I didn't have any goals of winning a medal or anything. And in my first race, then I started getting splits from the coaches. And they had told me, oh, it was a 20K classic race. And they told me, you're winning. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to slow down. This isn't good. Like, this is a long race. I can't keep this up anymore. I ended up getting second that day. And so, I mean, I dropped back a little bit, but I still was really stoked on that. But then I thought that was just a fluke. But it ended up being able to sustain that throughout the 2 weeks of the games being there.
Okay,
so.
Now I think we just threw out every question that we had originally. Because now, So how did it get introduced to you? Who came to you and said, Sydney, you should be racing in 4 months?
So I was skiing in college, and I've skied my whole life, and I ski at St. Lawrence University, but I have dystonia, which is a progressive neurological disease. And with that, I was gradually losing the ability to use my left arm, and it was affecting my left leg more progressively. And so with that, I was trying to find ways to adapt and still continue to ski, and I was really struggling. And so my college coach helped me find ways, and I ended up continuing to reach out to the para-Nordic coaches. And at first they were like, oh, I don't know if you would qualify to be classified. And I was just having trouble getting in contact with them. But then eventually, once I did get through to them, they were like, okay, you can come here and try to get classified. We don't know if it'll work, though. You have to pay your own way. But it did work. So, and it became more than successful.
Not a bad idea.
It worked out really well.
So now, how has that changed for you? Because now in this quad, you've been prepping for 4 years to keep going, as opposed to a few months.
Yeah, it's very nice to have a little bit more certainty, and very nice to, I now have great teammates and coaches that I can ask questions. I know more what to expect. I think this games will be a lot different than Beijing because the COVID restrictions are lifted, and we'll be able to have spectators, which is going to be awesome. But hopefully now there's some expectations to try and improve upon my results, which will be a little bit different, and so that stress is a little different. But yeah, it's nice to go in with some reassurance of I know what the races will look like, and I know what it'll look like when I get to the start line.
How often do you have to get reclassified?
It depends based on each person individually. The classification panel decides. It's generally, for me, I think, every other year. Some people, if they have an amputation, that's never going to change. They just get confirmed right away. For someone with more of a progressive disease, they'll set it for every other year.
How does being an athlete affect the progression of your disease? Or do you know, like, because you're in shape, does it help that element, or is it just going to do its own thing?
Oh, I definitely think skiing is the best thing I can do for myself. I mean, it keeps me strong. It's a great form of physical therapy. I would never want to, go to PT every single day and be like, okay, but here it keeps my muscles strong. And so, yeah, all the ski training that I do definitely only makes me stronger and healthier. And so it definitely helps.
When you have the imbalance in your body, is it consistent day to day? Or is it, Monday's a good day and Tuesday's a bad day?
There's definitely fluctuations. Yeah, some days are better, some days are worse. Yeah, that's for sure.
So how does that affect your training plan?
I don't really follow a training plan. I'm more of a loose person. I don't know. I just kind of wake up and do whatever I feel like. Sometimes my training plan is just whatever friends I text to go on adventures in the mountains. I don't know. That's probably not what it should be, but
we won't tell your coaches.
But then it works out well because, on the days that I don't feel as good, it's just an easier day. And then when I do feel good, it's a good day to push it and go a little bit harder or do an intensity session.
When you get your time splits, because you're in a time factored situation, how do they give you the splits, or are you also doing the factoring math in your head?
No, they give us our factored splits.
Okay.
So, yeah, we never see the raw time ever.
Okay.
Thankfully there's a program that does the splits with the factor time for us.
Okay.
But we
that would
know,
be really hard.
We know Sydney could do it in her head.
Probably.
I don't know. Well, mid-race, that would be really hard. Also, it's like an 88%, and so that's such an odd number to
we have the topic for your dissertation ready. Okay, Brian's waving
Excellent.
at us. So.
Okay. Thank you so much. Kendall Gretsch is our next TKFLASTANI. She has won 7 medals over 4 Paralympics, both in summer and winter, most recently a silver in para-triathlon at Paris 2024. Kendall competes in both para-cross-country and para-biathlon. She's currently ranked 4th in para-biathlon. Take a listen.
Thank you so much for sitting down with us. We wanted to talk a little bit about the switch between summer and winter and how that actually works in your body and the push and the pull and where do you start that transition?
I really don't know any different because as soon as I started doing Paralympic sport, I kind of jumped into doing both right away. So triathlon in the summer and then Nordic skiing in the winter. And I think it's great. They're very complementary sports. They're both endurance sports. So that base of fitness that you build in each sport really does translate over to the other. And yeah, I think for a while when I first started out, I always tried to do everything all at once. So I was trying to be a skier and a triathlete all year round. And I really learned that that just wasn't going to work. And so my mindset has always been going forward, whatever season I'm in, I'm going to do everything that makes me the best triathlete or makes me the best skier. And sometimes there is some cross training there. So in the winter, I actually continue to bike a fair amount, but I feel like that's all because it complements me as a skier and not because I'm trying to keep up my summer fitness. So I think that mindset of really what season am I in and what do I need to be the best in that season has helped me kind of maintain kind of balance and also be able to perform well in both sports.
So, for example, since Paris, have you competed in triathlon at all?
So I did a couple triathlons this summer, and it really was more just because it would be such a long break from the end of last winter season to the beginning of this winter season where I wasn't going to be racing. So it's always fun to race. So I did a couple of triathlons really just to have something on the calendar to look forward to, kind of drive the training a little bit more. But I would say compared to a typical triathlon season, this was a very pared down season for me with only doing 2 races this year.
What is the muscle movement like? Because for triathlon, you're doing a lot more pushing in a way, or and then in Nordic, you've got to pull with the poles, right?
Yeah. I think luckily I kind of cover all of the movements.
Yeah, I mean, is it good? Like, you get a balance.
Yes.
Does it muscular balance kind of thing?
It is. I would say between Nordic and triathlon, swimming is probably the most similar in terms of what muscle you're using. But in some ways, I think it's a really great thing, as someone that only uses their arms for their sport, being able to do different movements throughout the year, I think really does help with kind of injury prevention or just making sure that my arms aren't overloaded. And yeah, I think our strength coach that we works with, he actually loves it. He thinks it adds to our longevity as athletes, just kind of switching up that movement pattern that we're doing.
You do long races in both sports, or all 3 sports, I should say. What do you think about during the race?
It's so funny because a long race, I feel like, if you were just going out and you think about like an hour, and if you're just like riding easy, it feels like it takes forever. I look at my watch and I'm like 5 minutes into a ski and like, oh my goodness. But during a race, you're just so focused on kind of what's in front of you, what's coming up next. You really do kind of get into this flow zen state where all of a sudden the time passes. And, if I do find that I'm like thinking about other things, I really do try to come back to anything that's process oriented around whether it's skiing or triathlon, whatever sport I'm doing. But thinking about in the moment, what's a cue or something that I need to focus on.
What are some of your cues?
Yeah, I think for me, for biathlon, when I come into the shooting range, I always say in my head, process, which is just a reminder for myself just to clear my mind and not think about like, oh my gosh, I have to make all of these shots, or I need to, not thinking about the standing of the race, but just thinking about what is it that I need to do to follow the correct process while I'm shooting. So just a very simple 1-word cue. But yeah, I think they're kind of smaller things. A lot of times it's like thinking about different like spots or areas on the course, whether it's a certain corner, and then counting. That's a big thing too. Counting what lap I'm on.
Have you had races that
some of them are very complex? Yeah, I had a race once where it was 8.5 laps.
Oh my.
Yeah, so that was a tricky one. Or yeah, I just sometimes you get so brain fog, you don't know what you're doing when you're racing. And so I like to have a way to count. So I come up with different fun ways to count things. So a lot of times I go through my family members. So if it's like 5 people, I'll go through, 5 people in my family. And then, which I think is a nice reminder too. You can think about each lap kind of being like almost a dedication to that family member. So yeah, but counting is a big part of what I think about when I'm racing.
Do you approach the cross-country skiing differently when it's cross-country versus biathlon?
I think a little bit. I try not to, I guess, back off on the skiing because I know that I'm going into the shooting range. I think besides the kind of like, I guess 100 meters or so, 50 meters of the actual range, I really try to treat them pretty similarly. Obviously, there are a lot of differences of, you're stopping every lap you're shooting, you have penalty laps potentially. So it is a little bit different, but in terms of the skiing and pacing, I really try to treat it similar.
Which is a harder getting through the airport, summer or winter?
Oh, that's a great question. I think for summer, when I show up to the airport, it looks like I'm moving. I've got a lot of stuff with me.
You've got sports with a lot of gear one with a rifle.
Yes, I do think that the rifle makes it trickier because you just never know what you're going to get. I've had some crazy experiences with the air rifle where you're not sure if you're going to make it out. because they're asking for paperwork that I just don't have. So the rifle is definitely leads you to parts of the airport you didn't think you would go to.
How long do you leave before your flight?
I feel like we typically get there like 3 hours in advance. Yeah.
I was going to say the night before.
Well, often, we have like a lot of early morning flights. So be like showing up at the airport at 4 a.m. and we're the first people at the desk to check in, which helps, but it's a lot of early mornings.
Have you seen the course for Cortina?
We have, yeah. So not the exact course, but we had a test event in Cortina last year. So we were able to get an idea of what the venue will be like, see parts of the course. There will be some changes for this year, but it's always good just to start picturing that in your mind. And, I think one of the things that's interesting for me on this course, especially for biathlon, is it's not a established biathlon venue. So they actually kind of had to build a range for the games. So it's in a bit of an awkward location. Normally the range would be kind of like your starting and ending location for the lap. This is almost halfway through the lap. So it kind of leads to some interesting like first lap skiing where you pass the range before you go into it the first time. So it's good just to have that in your mind of like, oh, hey, this is going to be different than your normal process, and just start thinking about that now.
So the last two Paralympics, Pyeongchang and Beijing, had insane winds.
Yeah.
How are the winds at the test event for Italy?
Yeah, it's actually, it was kind of tricky. Not like strong wind, but there was kind of some swirling wind that if you were to look at the wind flag, you could see the wind. But a lot of times we go off of like feeling the wind on our cheek. And so it was some tricky wind where you wouldn't feel anything on your cheek, but it was actually blowing enough where it was impacting your shots. So again, that's something that's really important to know going into the games this year of, you can't rely on those traditional wind cues that you would at another venue.
What about the snow? Because the snow in Beijing was interesting.
Yeah.
and you had warm days because
yes.
we were there and it was sloggy. Oh my gosh, it was a slog.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I think everyone is just hoping that there's going to be snow. I think, March is tough, unfortunately, especially in that area. We were there end of January last year, and it was already kind of a slog. I think it was an especially warm last year. So hopefully, again, we gotta hope for some snow.
What about waxing? Like, how does that? I mean, that makes a difference.
Yeah, luckily we have a really awesome team of wax techs that will be with us, and so I don't have to worry about that. Which I think is such a luxury and a great thing as a Nordic skier to have full trust in your waxing team, and I think that's something that we really do so well as a country. I think there's never a race where I'm not confident in our wax and our team's ability to give us good wax. So they're the experts there, and I trust them.
You just have to go be your fabulous self.
Yeah, exactly, which is what you want as an athlete.
Yeah.
You don't want equipment to be a question of how you're going to perform. You just want to show up and do what you train to do.
Excellent. Perfect.
Excellent.
Great way to end.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And finally, we have Jake Adicoff. He is a 3-time Paralympian and 4-time medalist, including gold from Beijing 2022 in the 4x2.5 kilometer mixed relay. He is currently ranked first in his class at the World Cup level. Take a listen.
You race with a guide, and we are totally fascinated with the relationship with the guide. So just talk a little bit about how that works.
Yeah. So in a lot of visually impaired sports, athletes race with a guide. In Nordic skiing, within the visually impaired category, there are 3 different classifications, going from NS1, which is completely blind, up to NS3, which is the widest band of sight. So, and that's the category that I'm in. So obviously for NS1s and NS2s, the more visually impaired of the ski group, they rely on guides very heavily for getting around the course. And in the NS3 category, guides are kind of a twofold purpose. The first is obviously to help you see around the course, someone to follow. But a lot of us are able to ski by ourselves still. So the second purpose of the guide is drafting. And so you need to like learn how to ski behind a guide as close as possible so that they can break the wind for you and make your race faster.
What makes a good guide for you specifically?
For me specifically? A good guide for me, one of the most important things, they of course need to be a good skier, but that is like baseline classification. For me, I think the most important thing is that they're like a close friend of mine. I spend about 6 months of the year traveling for training and racing and et cetera, et cetera. So most of that time is spent with one or more of my guides. So they need to be someone that I can like, have breakfast, lunch, and dinner with and then go to bed and do that again. They need to be someone that I am like super comfortable sharing a tiny little European bedroom with in a hotel. So yeah, it's just like someone that, where the day-to-day life is like really comfortable. And then also once we get on skis, the communication's there and the speed is there too.
How many guides are you working with in any particular season?
Last year I worked with, I think 3 guides. The year before, I think I had 5 total. This upcoming season, we're, still like putting the final touches on schedule, but it's looking like probably 2 guides for this season.
Is there consistency between the cues that they give you, or do you adapt to every guide?
A little bit of both. We don't do a ton of cueing. So, we established some like baseline communication of like, we need to speed up, slow down, watch out for this technical part of the course. But there's like very, very little actual communication during the race. Most of it is communication about like pace. And I'm just like kind of using the limited sight that I have to watch where they're going and follow them and trust in what they're doing. So back to the question that you asked, there is this baseline, but most of the time it is like this game of trust, and a lot of the time that works out pretty well.
Are there rules about how far ahead they can be or how close they can be to you?
No, there aren't. So you can be as close as you want to a guide or as far away. And guides can also cut off parts of the course. You can have 2 guides in a race where they would like swap out. And I've used all of these strategies before. There are certain days that kind of lend themselves to, or not lend themselves. There are certain days that are really hard to guide. So fast, icy courses that are flat, when the guide's breaking through a lot of wind, it becomes very challenging for them to ski in front of me for an entire race. So we have multiple guides so that they can swap out when they get tired.
I was fascinated that in Beijing you medaled in a short freestyle and a long classic. That just seems so counterintuitive to be good at all things.
Yeah. I think Nordic skiing is a pretty unique sport that way, where there are definitely specializations and there are, people that are very good at sprinting or very good at distance skiing. But across the sport in general, people race almost every type of, almost every discipline. And it is a little bit different than, say, like track, where your shortest race is 10 seconds-ish, a little bit less. So our shortest race by time is maybe 3 minutes. So the specialization that you need, like the physiological adaptations, aren't so specialized, aren't so specific. But yeah, it is definitely a big gear shift to go from a short skate distance race to a long classic. They're totally different races, and it does, it takes some getting used to figure out how to race both of them well.
Is it more physical or mental? That's the tougher switch.
Probably mental, actually. The physical is definitely tricky, but I definitely struggle the most with with sprint races and staying like really present in that short amount of time. I think it can be, you can like get into this like frantic state where you're just trying to like move your limbs as fast as possible, but that doesn't necessarily translate to the fastest skiing that you can do. So for me, it is the mental shift.
when you get the program, do you prefer a sprint first or the distance first? Or, I mean, obviously you don't get to control that, but how does your mentality change from when you see what the program is going to be?
It doesn't change too much. And to be honest with you, I not on purpose, and I will go look at it with enough time to prepare, but I don't know the order of the races in Milan yet. So it's not something that I'm super concerned about at the moment. It's definitely it needs planning, it needs attention, but I don't need to start stressing about that 4 months in advance. I can do that, with 30 days or something.
I wanted to ask you about mixed relay and how that is different than either working with only men or just doing your individual events.
Mixed relay I think it's the coolest event.
Me too.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's a really fun day, and we have a really strong team, but we don't have a big team. So it's really cool that this event lends itself to is accessible to a lot of different teams. It's formatted in a way that kind of lets everyone participate, and it's so much fun to be out there with your teammates that have put in so much time and effort and have performed all in China. Relay was the last day. Saw so much good effort going into that, and it was just a big confidence boost on the day to know that your teammates are fit and fast, but then see that throughout the week and then have it kind of unfold the way that it did was just unreal.
Worked out well.
Yeah, worked out great.
I can't let you go without asking you about Brian McKeever.
Yeah.
Tell me he's as fabulous as he seems.
He's a great guy.
Good.
Yeah. He's one of the coaches for the Canadian team now. We have a pretty tight relationship with the Canadians despite, it being competition. And yeah, he's still out there feeding me technique advice and stuff like that, things that he sees that he thinks I need to improve. He'll either let me or a coach know. And yeah, it's cool. I love it.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jake. There are other free ways to support us. If you've already given or you can't give financially to us at this time, there are other ways to support the show.
Absolutely. Most importantly, share the show with your friends. That's the best thing you can do. Tell your friends, share it on social media, get more TKFLASTANIs in the group. We love that. Speaking of group, you can join the Facebook group. That's Keep the Flame Alive podcast. And that's where we talk all year round about all the fun things that people are watching and doing related to the Olympics and Paralympics. And as Jill mentioned earlier, you can sign up for the Substack newsletter, which is free. And we love to share additional content over there.
And if you're not on Facebook, but you are on Substack, they also have notes. So we'll be chatting there as well, too, if you want to get in on that action. So yes, please come along for the ride. We're going to have a lot of fun times in Milano Cortina, and we want to make sure you are there and we can connect with you. So please sign up.
Il Cauldron della Fiamme.
See, the Cauldron has been unveiled. And I thought, when I saw the press release, Milano Cortina is that person who just cannot keep a secret.
And I'm okay with that. I don't love all the secrets and the, we're not going to show it until the opening ceremonies, because I like all these reveals to get excited. And also then I can learn more about it ahead of time. And it has a lot more depth and meaning to me when I actually see these moments.
Fair enough. And I agree that being able to read up on this and get the full story and have it sink in, and then you get to see what it actually looks like is cool. But I do love the element of surprise. I do love that big reveal all at once when the entire world sees it. And now this was kind of like a first to post it.
And to be fair, the reason that they gave for revealing the Cauldron ahead of time was so fantastic. So we went to a virtual press conference with the organizers, and he said, we have to reveal the Cauldron because we're going to start building it and people are going to see it anyway. So let's make it an event.
Right? So the press conference was with Marco Balic, who is the creative director of the ceremonies for Milano Cortina, and he talked a lot about what was going to happen, not specifics, because he did say there are some things we are not going to share, but seem to be going back to old school ceremonies.
2.5 hours, he said. So plan ahead, get comfortable, get warm, bring a blanket.
But that's better than a 4-hour ceremony, 3 or 4 hours that they have been.
Agreed. And different segments, musical segments. Mariah Carey's going to sing in Italian, which I think is pretty cool.
I do
Andrea
too,
Bocelli going to
because
sing in Italian, which is pretty cool.
the Mariah Carey singing in Italian means that she will not be singing Imagine.
Unless she's singing Imagine in Italian.
That's yes.
I think I don't know if she's going to sing Imagine in Italian, but I think we're going to hear Imagine in Italian.
Well, we're just going to hear Imagine.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Cauldron, because the Cauldron's really cool.
The Cauldron is cool. It is inspired by Leonardo da Vinci's geometric links. So there are 2 circles that are kind of concentric, and the flame is going to be in a small bowl in the center for environmental purposes. It will be small. So it's not quite the snow flame of Beijing. It is definitely not the electric lights of Paris, but it is not a giant cauldron that we are used to. But the deal is that this cauldron, which will be in the Arco della Pace in Milano, there will also be one in Cortina with the Dolomites behind it. They are mobile. So every hour on the hour, there's going to be like a 3 to 4 minute cauldron show with lights and music, and the cauldron will move. The circles will do their thing.
Right. So the concentric circles with the Da Vinci links expand and contract and move in opposing circular ways. The way the video was quite impressive. So I understand why they said once we started constructing this, people are going to see what's going on, because this is going to be a complex project to get these things up and moving. So it's going to move. We've never had a mobile cauldron before, I don't think.
No, what the Rio one.
Oh, yes.
Right? And to an extent, like Vancouver, the arms lifted up.
Right.
But that's not like it moves around all the time.
Right. So this is going to be Action Jackson on your cauldron.
So, yeah, I think that will be cool. The show will be cool. Whether or not it will be ticketed to see, because remember they had to, and Nicholas Wallover from Olympic Rings and other things mentioned later, it's like, oh yeah, remember they had to ticket the cauldron at, did they ticket the cauldron?
Yes.
Okay, because I know they ticketed the
free,
horse.
but it was ticketed.
Yes. So will they need to ticket this as well? Because I'm sure it's going to be popular.
But I have a feeling you're going to be able to see the light show from quite a distance, depending on how the piazza is set up and where the buildings are. It's not like the cauldron in Paris where people wanted to get up close to the balloon.
Right.
This is more of a spectacle, like the twinkling lights of the
Eiffel Tower?
Eiffel Tower, thank you.
Okay.
Where you can see it from multiple places in the city.
So hopefully, but it will be cool. Once it's there, I think it will be like a magnet, drawing people to the flame. The Olympic ceremony will be in 4 places. Athlete parade is going to happen in all locations. And I have a feeling they're going to jump back and forth to different locations. But
Yes, because he said some countries will only have 1 or 2 athletes, so they may not be in Milan, they may be up in the mountains. So I think we'll be jumping back and forth on the televised version, depending on where the athletes are. So obviously, say for the American contingent, they're going to be in every place. But say Brazil, which we'll talk about later, will probably only be up in the mountains. So I think that the television will just show where the athletes are.
yeah, so that will be interesting. And I think that will make the show shorter, ultimately.
Possibly.
He threw some shade. It was great. He threw a little shade because somebody did ask, the shows recently have been very heavy on video content. And he did not seem to like that idea. I would not be surprised if there were some videos to cover commercial breaks or to help with transitions. But he was very much an Olympic ceremony needs to have that heartbeat of a person in it. So there will be something like 1,200 volunteers dancing and performing throughout the night in different ways. And I'm imagining very much an Italian spectacle.
That's what we're hoping for.
Because didn't they say like Cirque du Soleil people were involved or directors were involved in the background
Yes,
on
so
the team?
the choreographer and I think the artistic director are both Cirque du Soleil people. So, we're going to have flying Italians.
Oh, this is going to be great. More shade given to Paris 2024. Specifically, somebody asked about the approach that the team was taking versus how they did it in Paris. And he said, well, there's two ways you can do a ceremony. You can have a director and it's kind of all about the director, or you can have a team. And every team has like their section that they care about. And we all come together and make it work. And that's, they're doing the latter on Milan, and the Paris was the former.
Was Thomas Joly was everything. And we don't even know most of the names of the creative team. There's so many of them that it's not this, as Marco said, the one guru who's
right,
the focus. And that's just not how they work, which makes sense because when I spoke to the design team people, it was the same idea that we're very team oriented, that there's not this one overpowering capo who's telling you what to do.
Last bit of shade. There's going to be a tribute to Armani because Giorgio Armani recently passed away. He is from Milano and has been the Italian kit designer for ages.
As far as I can remember, longer than Ralph Lauren, I want to say. He has worked with Team USA. So yes, so Valentino passed away over the weekend, and someone asked, "Oh, will you work in some sort of honoring of him as well?" And and Marco basically said, "No, he's from Rome.
I love that so much.
We do not care. He is from Rome. He has no ties to the Olympics. He has no ties to Milan. Why would we honor Valentino?" But he very eloquently said, "No, we won't be honoring him because he's from Rome, but we respect Italian design." But yeah, he just wanted to throw the Rome-Milan rivalry. It's kind of like New York-Boston.
Yeah.
And it was fun to hear it play out just right there in the press conference.
I'm getting very excited for the opening ceremony. We will not know whether or not we both get in.
Or either of us get in. We're going to hope for one. We're going to hope for one, at least.
And if it's at least one, it's your turn, because I did Paris. So,
but your Paris turn was awful.
Well, it was in the rain and there was exciting things and I was there. So we'll figure it out, because there will be watch parties. There will be something else to do for if we're not around in San Siro, but hopefully we'll be able to get to see some little element of that. But something else to do if you are going to Milano. Pin trader Scott Reed said on Facebook that there is definitely going to be a pin trading center at Milano Cortina. It's going to be in Corso Como, across the street from 10 Corso Como. Will be open from 10 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock in the evening each day of the game, starting on February 6th. Every day they will have a limited edition pin for the day that will be for sale only at the Pin Trading Center while supplies last. There will be other exclusive pins as well for sale, appearances by athletes, other special guests. More info coming on Monday, January 26th, and attendance is free. So be sure, if you are going, be sure to pop in there if you're in Milano. Canadian listeners, the CBC and Radio Canada want public libraries to host free accessible watch parties and screenings during the game, so they are sponsoring them. Let us know. Your library may be holding watch parties during the Olympics and or Paralympics. If you go, let us know. Let us know what it's like. That was very exciting to read.
Canada's doing some really fun things related to the Winter Olympics. I'm jealous, Canada.
Except for, I did see, if you were on our Facebook group, you did see that I happened to drive by Raising Cane's in our town and saw a big banner out front that said limited time plushie for USA bobsled skeleton.
And you turned that little car so fast.
We did, and got myself the cutest little dog in a bobsled and it comes out of the bobsled. It's got a little hat on. The hat comes off. The helmet comes off. It's so cute. That is one nice thing that you can kind of get. But it's just USA bobsled and skeleton. It's not totally Olympics, but pretty good. Before we move on to other news, one last props to Milano Cortina. We have been ragging on Milano Cortina a lot, especially on construction. But I want to give props to Accreditation because this is the first time in 3 games that we got our Paralympic accreditations before we left for the games.
This is true. They are sitting safely in a secure location so that they will be ready for March. But yeah, they did get us our accreditations early and we are ready to go. Yeah, Paris was late.
Paris was late. Beijing was late. And late being that we have them, but you're not coming home. I guess we can bring them with us, but we won't get there before you need them. So we had to get accreditations made.
Yes.
For both Paris and Beijing, which was just kind of a waste of money in the weight of mailing those around. I will say Milan followed the good example that Paris did, where they don't send you a laminated credential. And this is really getting in the weeds, folks. But if you want to hear behind the scenes stuff, we get a credential for Beijing. We got it. It's laminated. And when you get to the airport, you get through customs, and then you go to the accreditation desk where they activate your accreditation for you. And for Beijing, it was laminated already. They give you a lanyard, they activate it, you're good to go. Well, for Paris, they said, we'll just laminate them on site.
Which sounds small, but if you multiply that by the thousands of accreditations, how much postage and travel weight that they saved by just laminating it when you show up made so much sense.
It did. And Milan has followed that. And props, because I think it's such a great idea. Tiny, but great idea. So I'm thrilled that we got our accreditations for both everything.
And they're pretty.
And don't have to stress.
They're pretty. Oh, the lanyard is going to be gorgeous.
Yes.
We'll have pictures of that when we get them.
Little follow-up from LA 2028 news. They were so over the moon that over 1.5 million people registered for the ticket lottery on the very first day it opened. More than any games in recent history.
Are we surprised?
No.
No.
We are not surprised. Should you be worried about this?
No.
Also no. Hooray for LA 2028. There's a lot of demand. A lot of people are excited. We are still 2.5 years away. Still plenty of time.
Fear not. If you missed out, I think you can still register for the lottery.
Oh, yeah, you can register until March. So you didn't need to register on day one. And there were like queues to get in, to the sign up. Because I tried. I eventually signed up for it just to see what the whole process was. But, you got a couple months there to sign up. So if you need to know the process, we have a post on our blog. We'll put the link in our show notes that tells you how to acquire tickets for LA 2028. It's a long process, but there's still plenty of time. Don't worry. Don't let them make you feel like you're missing out. That's for sure. Be strong.
Welcome to TKFLASTAN.
It is the time of the show where we check in with our team Keep the Flame Alive. These are past guests and listeners of the show who make up the citizenship of our very own country, TKFLASTAN. First up.
IBSF released allocations for Milano Cortina 2026. TKFLASTANi number 1 will be going to his second Olympics. Josh Williamson was named as a pusher on TKFLASTANi's Frank Del Duca's 4-man sled. 2-man pairings will be named later. And also more sliders. Alana Myers-Taylor will be going to her 5th Olympics in the 2-woman, paired with brakewoman Jaden O'Brien. Adam Edelman will be driving for Israel. And in skeleton, Shannon Galea is in line for Milano Cortina. Her going to the games depends on other athletes declining spots. We'll keep an eye on that and let you know. And Canada, we mentioned this last week with Canada and the cheating allegations regarding the skeleton spots. They have been cleared of cheating, so that affected Shannon's point values. So we'll keep an eye on that and see if anything changes between now and the start of the games.
Cross-country skier Bruna Moura was named to the Brazilian Olympic team for Milano Cortina 2026, which is huge because if you listen to our episode with her, she had such a bad accident trying to get to Beijing 2022. And now she's realized her dream. Just safe travels getting there. That's all I want for you, Bruna. Safe travels getting there.
Just hit the starting line. Short track speed skater Ryan Shane missed making the U.S. Olympic team by 1 place. So condolences for that, Ryan, but keep going. Keep going.
Climber Josh Levin was on Sasuke, which is the original Ninja Warrior in Japan. Huge deal to get on Sasuke. He completed stages 1 and 2, got bit by stage 3, and was thrilled to be there. Props to you for making it that far.
John Neighbor will be awarded a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Los Angeles Sports Council's LA Sports Awards.
And para-powerlifter Louise Sugden has been selected to compete in Europeans in March.
She's never retiring. She's just going to lift heavy things forever.
I know. Keep going, Louise. This is so exciting. And that is going to do it for this episode. We have a special programming note for you, though. Next week, while I'm on a plane heading to Milano, you will be listening to interviews with wheelchair curler Steve Empt, freestyle skier Jalen Koff, and para snowboarders Mike Schultz and Noah Elliott. But before that, ideally Monday, we're planning, but it doesn't happen until it happens. We are planning to have an alpine skiing preview with Tom Kelly. And also on that show, we will let you know the exclusive content that our patrons will get during Milano Cortina. You might be interested in that as well if you really want to know all the stuff that's going on. So thank you so much for listening.
And until next time, keep the flame alive.